These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Mountain Goat. We are told in an article that the budget will be in Parliament, ready for review and vote in 2 weeks. That pushes it to early January 2023 to begin the voting process, so sit back and hang on. The news is about to get really good. Mark Z via PDK says some chatter from a number of the large groups. They're telling us it should start this week, but it won't be until January 2nd for us to be in the banks. This is because of how the rollout is expected to happen. That is the chatter. I pray this is accurate. The chatter is unreal right now. The number of sources I have heard this from has been nuts. They're expecting us to actually be starting into the banks on the 2nd or 3rd at the absolute latest. Now we have to see if that happens or not. We're seeing many things coming together at one time. Frank26, Firefly, his bank friend says it's really close. He says they're just ironing out the final issues. He thinks when we see the HCL, then the budget will appeal to the Parliament, or if the budget goes first, it will not be approved until the HCL is approved and implemented. Frank says either way, I agree 100% on every direction/option he gave. Yes, it is very close. I believe you'll see a combination of 3 things: the budget, new exchange rate, and the HCL all together at once. Bring them together at the beginning of the year. Alright, Pimpy says I'm reading more and more articles that Iraq is struggling with the exchange rate between the US dollar and Iraqi dinar. People don't know this, but the United States has a right to interfere in international markets as it deems necessary to control the markets around the world. When I read this as part of the Federal Reserve's job, it blew my mind. I didn't realize how much power the Federal Reserve had. Sandy Ingram, article quote, Iraqi dinar trembles as U.S. fights currency flow to Iran, unquote. Sandy says major concern over currency in Iraq or the lack of U.S. dollar currency. The U.S. has taken steps to stop the flow of U.S. dollars into Iran. As a result, the value for the Iraqi dinar on the black market is trembling. The rate on the CBI market is around 1470 IQD and 1 USD, but on the black market, the rate has gone up to approximately 1550 IQD to 1 USD. What we're learning is the black market is what the Iraqi people react to. Mark Z via PDK, I'm still hearing great things that this will be our last few days and our last poor weekend. None of us know for certain, but the chatter is exceptionally good. Frank26, article quote, after years of delay and disagreement, an agreement was reached by the majority to pass the oil and gas law. Once in a blue moon, there is an article that stops traffic. This stopped traffic on a one-way street. The moment you see the HCL, nanoseconds after, you'll see the new exchange rate. Have I changed that statement? No. Wow, this is an amazing article. Pimpy says Al-Kazimi had a great plan. He had a white paper. He was implementing it. When Al-Sudani got in there, I thought for sure they were going to tear up those white papers and go right back to the corruption we had before. It doesn't look like that's happening. It looks like Al-Sudani is following the groundwork laid out by Al-Kazimi. Sampson article quote, disclosure of U.S. sanctions that will affect 14 new Iraqi banks. Quote, there is no need to worry about the dollar's rise because it is just speculation. Some banks are unable to deal with the electronic platform, adding that the central bank's policy of dealing with the dollar crisis has been wise so far. All right, Militiaman article quote, a government source reveals that Al-Hid News that the U.S. is blackmailing Iraq over the dollar, manipulation of prices, and the Iraqi market is for political reasons, the most prominent of which is the attempt to thwart the Sudanese government, which was intending to reduce the dollar during the next stage. Question, why is the dollar rising in value in Iraq and not the dinar? Is it supply and demand issue with the dollar for the nefarious reasons? Is there a group that has interest in obtaining dollars outside of USD sanctions? Militiaman says fairly sure if anyone goes to the UST websites and signs up for emails, they can see that there is. Walking stick via Frank 26, the CBI poised positioning its bank, currency, and exchange rate to go into an international float. Yes, it can float at a program rate, but the supply and demand is what will drive the value of the IQD upward. Mark Z via PDK question, is the 80 trillion dinar in circulation a problem? Mark Z says, not really. They have been busy buying much of the dinar out of circulation, left and right. Dr. Shabibi did the math some time ago when even more dinar was in circulation, and he justified a really high revaluation price. So based on what the man who designed the Iraqi RV, it is not an issue. A lot of dinar in circulation is what you and I are holding, and it will be traded for oil with the oil for dinar contract. All right, Frank 26 article quote, decline of the dollar in Iraq. I thought it was an increase in the dollar in Iraq. So which is it? Notice the 2 to 3% plus or minus fluctuation, and that's because it is depegging from the USD. Today it went the other way. It fluctuated with the American dollar going down against the Iraqi dinar, whereas before it was going up against the Iraqi dinar, which is what we don't want. The management of the exchange rate crisis by the Central Bank of Iraq is being well taken care of, in my opinion. You will see this downward trend until the Iraqi dinar floats. All right, Pimpy says the country, Iraq, does have a lot of Iraqi dinar out there, something in the neighborhood of 157 trillion dinars. What they're doing is allowing Iraqi people to buy US dollars. That allows the Iraqi government and the central banks to buy up a lot of the local currency and destroy it / get it out of circulation. Think supply and demand. The less there are available of the Iraqi dinar, the more valuable it comes. Militiaman says the UST has Iraq's CBI in a position to make exchange rate change, in my opinion. They are likely at a point now, there is no looking back and not doing so. Showtime, it looks like that way. There were meetings today with the CBI governor.